In the deep silence of space, something old and forgotten suddenly came back to life. A satellite, drifting beyond Pluto, turned on after hundreds of years. It had no name, just a number. X-57. No one remembered it. Its signal was weak, but it reached Earth. A low beep, followed by strange coded sounds. Most people ignored it. The world was busy with other things: wars, politics, money. But in a quiet lab at the edge of New Berlin City, one young scientist didn't ignore it. Her name was Mia Torres. Mia was a data analyst working night shifts. She loved old space stories, the kind people called myths now. Her job was simple: check space signals, log them, and move on. But when she heard the signal from X-57, her heart skipped. It matched something she had seen years ago in her grandfather's notes. He was a retired astronomer, and before he died, he told her stories of a warning from the void. Everyone thought he was crazy, but Maya remembered every word. She played the signal again and again. The sound pattern was not random. It repeated every 17 seconds. She cleaned the audio, ran it through her decoding software, and after hours of work, a strange phrase appeared on her screen. Just 6 words. Do not wake them. Ever again. Her hand shook. She saved the message and called her supervisor. He laughed at her and told her to get some sleep. But Mia couldn't sleep. That night, she broke into her grandfather's old storage unit. Inside dusty boxes, she found his journals, maps of space, and a folder marked Project Titanfall. The writing inside looked crazy. Drawings of giant black ships, sketches of strange creatures, and a message written in red ink. The stars are not dead. They are waiting. She stared at the folder in disbelief. This wasn't just a myth. Her grandfather knew something. Something real. The next morning, Mia uploaded the signal to a private network of independent scientists. Some believed her. Others called it a joke. But one reply stood out. It came from an unknown address, and it said only 2 words: too late. Then her power went out. Her screens went dark. Outside her apartment, the sky flickered for just a second, as if the stars blinked. At the United Earth Command, top generals reviewed the signal. One of them recognized it. In 2079, a similar signal was received and classified. Back then, Earth had just ended its war with Mars. They buried the signal, called it a myth, and moved on. Now it was back, stronger and clearer. They activated emergency protocols, but no one knew what to do. The file on Project Titanfall had been deleted decades ago, or so they thought. Mia decided to find someone who could help her. Her search led her to the mountains of old Alaska, where a retired war officer lived alone. His name was Commander Elias Rourke. He was part of Earth's Special Defense Unit 40 years ago. Most people thought he was dead, but Maya found him, alive and bitter. At first, he refused to speak, but when she showed him the decoded message and her grandfather's folder, his face turned pale. "You found it," he whispered. "They told me it was all destroyed." He took a deep breath and looked at the sky. "This signal, it's not a warning. It's a countdown." Mia asked him what Project Titanfall really was. Rourke said it was humanity's secret weapon, built not to win a war, but to delay one. A war so old and terrible, it wasn't written in books. It was written in the stars. He told her of the Eternals, beings that live in the darkness between galaxies. They do not age. They do not sleep. But once, long ago, humanity put them into deep sleep using stolen alien technology. It was a dangerous move, and the cost was high. All records were erased. People forgot. And those who remembered were called mad. But why now? Maya asked. Why is the signal back? Rourke looked at her, his eyes cold. Because someone woke them. Or they woke themselves. Just then, Mia's tablet lit up. A new signal had arrived, stronger, louder, and full of noise. As she decoded it, One word repeated over and over in hundreds of languages. Awakened. A sharp wind blew through the cabin. Rourke stood up, walked to a metal chest, and pulled out a strange device. It was shaped like a triangle, humming with blue light. "This," he said, "is the key to Titanfall. And now we have no choice. We must use it." Mia looked at the sky. The stars seemed darker than before. Somewhere out there, something old was moving. The warning was never a myth. It was real. And now, it had begun. Commander Elias Rourke stared at the small glowing triangle in his hand. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Mia watched him carefully, unsure of what it was or what it could do. The air inside the cabin was cold, and the silence felt heavier than before. "This," Rourke said slowly, "was made for one reason only: to stop what's coming. But we never finished it. We ran out of time. And courage." Mia didn't understand. "What do you mean? What is Titanfall?" Rourke placed the device gently on the table and sat down. His face looked tired, like a man who had carried secrets for too long. Titanfall was a black project, top secret, started over 100 years ago. A hidden defense program, buried deep beneath Earth's crust. Back then, the world was just starting to recover from the Martian wars. But the leaders knew the real enemy wasn't on Mars. It was out there, in the void. Mia leaned forward. "The Eternals." Rourke nodded. "They weren't supposed to wake up. Ever. But Titanfall was our backup plan. A network of artificial minds, weapons beyond normal science, and one final weapon. The Arc Sentinel. The only machine strong enough to stand against them. But something happened. Funding stopped. People forgot. Files were deleted. It all became a ghost story." Mia looked at the device again. "And now, what does it do?" "It's a beacon key. A trigger," Rourke said. "When activated, it will try to wake Titanfall. If any part of the system still exists, it'll answer." Mia wanted to ask more, but her tablet beeped. Another signal had come through. This one not from space, but from Earth's main orbital telescope. A strange object had entered the solar system, moving fast, bigger than any ship humans had ever built. No name, no message, just silence. She showed it to Rourke. His face turned grim. "It's not just one," he whispered. "That's a scout. The real ones come after." That night, in a hidden bunker under Rourke's cabin, they activated the beacon. The triangle glowed brighter and sent out a low hum. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then, a loud click echoed through the bunker. A screen lit up on the wall, and a voice spoke. "Titanfall AI core. Offline. Fragments detected. Uploading data fragment 17. On the screen appeared broken maps, designs of strange machines, and something that looked like a sleeping ship buried deep inside Earth's moon. Mia gasped. "The moon." Rourke nodded slowly. "That's the Arc Sentinel. The last line of defense. It was never launched. They buried it instead, to keep it safe." Suddenly, the screen flashed red. "Hostile anomaly detected. Tracking path. Earth." Mia's heart raced. She checked the signal from the telescope. The unknown object had changed direction. It was heading straight toward Earth. "This is happening too fast," she said. "We don't have time to rebuild a project from 100 years ago." "We don't need to rebuild," Rourke replied. "We just need to wake it up." The next morning, Mia and Rourke left the cabin. They had a plan: to reach an old launch station where the last Titanfall servers might still exist. As they traveled through broken roads and empty towns, news spread across the globe. Satellites were failing. Space stations had gone dark. And the sky had begun to flicker at night, as if space itself was moving. World leaders argued on live broadcasts. Some called it a natural event. Others suspected an attack. But no one knew the truth. No one except Mia and Rourke. In the ruins of an old command base, deep underground, they found a rusted server room. The air was thick with dust. Broken lights flickered, but one console still worked. When Work placed the beacon key on it, the machine powered up. A soft voice spoke. Titanfall core connection. Partial. Data lost. Sentinel status. Dormant. Mia typed quickly. Can we activate the Sentinel? The voice replied. Voice authorization needed. Original commander only. Work stepped forward, placed his hand on the scanner, and spoke clearly. Commander Elias Work. Authorization code 091 Titan. The machine paused. Then, authorization accepted. Arc Sentinel awakening process started. The ground shook slightly. Somewhere far away, deep within the moon, something ancient began to stir. Giant metal gears started turning. Old energy cores lit up for the first time in a century. Mia stared at the screen. We did it. Work didn't smile. No, we just rang the bell. Now they know we're awake too. Suddenly, the red warning returned. Unknown object, 10 days from Earth. Prepare for contact. Mia looked at Rourke. We only have 10 days. Rourke loaded an old pistol and gave her a serious look. That's if they don't arrive sooner. In the silence that followed, the only sound was the low hum of the awakening sentinel and the growing sense that Earth was standing at the edge of something terrible. The countdown had begun. The Earth spun quietly in space, unaware of the storm coming. In the darkness beyond the solar system, ancient ships began to stir. Not human ships, not machines, something else, older than time, forgotten by every living species. The Eternals were waking up. They had slept for thousands of years, buried deep inside dead stars, hidden in black holes, wrapped in gravity and silence. But now something had changed. A signal had reached them, a sound they remembered, the sound of life, of humanity. On Earth, the news spread faster than ever before. Every major country was on alert. The United Earth Command finally held a global broadcast. The speaker stood in front of a world map filled with red dots, unknown signals from deep space. This is not a drill, the speaker said. We are not alone, and we never were. People panicked. Streets filled with fear. Some prayed, others ran. But Mia and Commander Rourke had no time for fear. They had reactivated the Titanfall beacon. The Arc Sentinel, buried inside the moon, had started to wake. It would take days to fully power up. Mia sat in front of the Titanfall control screen. Code scrolled fast. She could feel it. Something was coming. Something big. She turned to Rourke. Why are they called the Eternals? He answered without looking away from his monitor. Because they don't die. Not the way we do. They exist beyond time. They don't live. They continue. Mia didn't fully understand, but she didn't need to. She could see the fear in his eyes. That told her enough. A few hours later, the Space Telescope Network picked up strange activity. Stars, massive ones, were flickering. Some simply vanished. Gone. Like someone had turned them off. Black holes were spinning faster. Gravity fields were changing. And one signal stood out. It was strong, steady, and cold. They are coming. The message repeated across hundreds of stations. No one knew where it came from. It wasn't human. Rourke stared at the screen. That's not a warning. That's a message from someone watching them. Mia asked, You mean someone else knows about them? Rourke nodded. If the Eternals are waking, we're not the only ones who are afraid. Meanwhile, underground in hidden labs, the remaining parts of Project Titanfall were being rebuilt. Nova, the AI from the original project, was now active again. She spoke in a calm, soft voice, but her words were heavy. Earth's current defense status, 2%. Probability of survival, 0.3%. Mia frowned. That's not much hope. Nova replied, Correct. However, the Arc Sentinel changes the odds. And there may be more. Mia leaned closer. More what? More sentinels, other systems, hidden before the collapse. Nova began unlocking old star maps, files sealed for over 100 years. They showed locations across the galaxy where human colonies once existed but were now marked as lost. Rourke stared at the map. "I remember some of these," he said. "We thought they were destroyed by war or failure. But now, maybe the Eternals took them." Mia asked, "Why didn't they attack Earth sooner?" Nova answered, "They were not ready, or perhaps we were still forgotten. Now we are remembered." Back in orbit, the strange object, the Eternal scout ship, came closer, long and black like a knife through space. Satellites near it went silent. One probe sent back an image before dying. It showed a massive being standing at the front of the ship, without a suit, without armor. Just watching. Mia saw the image and felt her skin go cold. "That's not technology. That's a creature." Rourke nodded. "That's a sleeper, the smallest kind. And if the small ones are waking..." He didn't finish his sentence. On the moon, the Ark Sentinel continued to wake. Lights filled its hidden chambers. Weapons systems came online. But it still needed a human controller, someone with Titanfall clearance and matching DNA. Nova had a suggestion. "Commander Rourke is one match. But there is another." Nova pulled up Mia's profile. Her bloodline connects to a forgotten captain, someone who once fought the Eternals before. Mia was shocked. "Me? But I've never fought anything." Rourke looked at her. "You don't need to fight. You need to lead." Nova added, "You are not chosen by chance. You are a key. Your memory, your instincts, they are not fully your own." As they prepared for the next step, Earth received its final warning. All across the world, children began to have the same dream. A sky filled with fire, a deep voice saying, "We are many. We are awake." At that same moment, Nova displayed a final message on the screen. "Multiple Eternal ships detected. Time to arrival. 7 days." Mia took a deep breath. "Then we don't wait. We prepare. We fight." And in the darkness of space, thousands of sleeping giants opened their eyes, for the first time in ages. The war had not yet begun, but the stars knew humanity was finally awake. The moon turned slowly in the cold silence of space, but deep beneath its surface, something was moving. The Ark Sentinel, Earth's last and most powerful weapon, had fully awakened. Giant gears spun to life. Energy surged through long-forgotten circuits. A machine of war, asleep for 100 years, now opened its ancient eyes. Maya stood inside the control chamber, heart pounding. All around her, glowing panels lit up with data. She had never flown a ship, never held a weapon. But now, she was the one chosen to command this sleeping titan. "System status?" she asked. Nova, the AI, replied calmly. "Sentinel is operational. Weapons online. Power core stable. Awaiting combat input." Commander Rourke stood beside her, watching the monitors. "It's working," he whispered. "We're actually doing it." But the moment didn't last long. A new alert flashed red on the screen. Enemy vessel entering Earth's orbit. It had begun. The first Eternal scout ship, long, black, and alive, had reached Earth. It didn't send a message. It didn't ask for surrender. It simply opened. From its belly, strange shapes spilled out. Not ships, not drones. Creatures, living weapons made of shadows and metal, gliding through space like sharks in water. Earth's orbital defense satellites opened fire, but the creatures moved too fast. Laser fire passed through some of them like smoke. Others absorbed it. One by one, the satellites went dark. In New Berlin, sirens screamed. The sky cracked with fire as some of the shadow things entered the atmosphere. People looked up and saw wings, not machines, beasts, and behind them a second ship appeared, then a third. Mia stared at the screen, frozen. Rourke placed a hand on her shoulder. "Now's your moment. The Sentinel was built for this." Mia nodded slowly. "Nova, launch." Launching Arc Sentinel. The ground above them began to tremble. A massive elevator lifted the Sentinel from its moon chamber to the surface. Dust and rock fell away as the ship rose into the light. It looked like a fortress with wings, heavy, armored, and full of silent rage. With a roar that shook the moon's surface, the Arc Sentinel launched toward Earth. From her control seat, Maya saw it all. The stars, the Earth, and the shadows flying between. Nova spoke softly. "Target lock. Shadow beasts. 27. Hostile ships. 3. Orders. Engage all," Maya said. "Protect the planet." The Arc Sentinel opened fire. Blue energy cannons lit up the sky. Beams of plasma tore through space, cutting down the first wave of shadow creatures. One exploded in a flash of silver dust. Another screamed, a sound that echoed across frequencies no human could hear. Down on Earth, people watched from rooftops as the Sentinel entered the sky like a god of war. For the first time, the fear in their hearts began to fade. The enemy had come, but humanity had answered. The first Eternal ship tried to react. Its surface shifted, forming strange weapons, dark tendrils, fire-like blasts. One hit the Sentinel's side. The ship shook violently. Warnings lit up Mia's screen. Shields dropping. "Nova, reroute power to left flank." Power rerouted. Shield integrity restored. Rourke gritted his teeth. "They're testing us. This isn't their full force." "I know," Maya replied, "but we'll show them what we are." The Sentinel turned sharply, slicing through the sky like a blade. Its weapons locked on the enemy ship's weak spot, the energy core in the center. Mia gave the order. "Fire." A focused beam shot forward, straight into the enemy's heart. The Eternal ship cracked open like an egg, releasing a pulse of black energy. It didn't explode. It vanished, folding into itself like a dying star. Silence followed. Then cheers erupted across the planet. The first kill. But Nova's voice brought them back to reality. New readings. Dozens of Eternal ships awakening. Signal patterns increasing. Countdown confirmed. Mia's eyes narrowed. How long? 6 days until full arrival. Suddenly, the screen changed. A new signal had been detected, stronger than anything before. A shape appeared. Not a ship, not a creature. Something in between. Massive. Ancient. Sleeping under the rings of Saturn. Rourke stared at it in horror. "That's not a scout. That's a prime." Mia asked, "What's a prime?" Nova answered, "The first Eternals. Leaders of the swarm. 1 prime equals planetary extinction." Earth had just won its first battle. But now, the real war was about to begin. And the strongest of the sleeping ones was about to wake. Mia took a deep breath and looked at the stars. She wasn't afraid anymore. She was ready. And this time, humanity would not run. They would fight. They would strike back. Because the warning was never a myth. It was a promise. The stars looked calm, cold, peaceful. But everyone on Earth now knew the truth. Space was lying. The first battle had been won. The Arc Sentinel had destroyed an Eternal scout ship, and the world had cheered. But that joy didn't last. More ships were coming. Thousands, maybe more. And somewhere near Saturn, something far worse was beginning to stir. Mia sat in the command chair of the Sentinel, her eyes fixed on the screen. She had barely slept in 2 days. Her body was tired, but her mind stayed sharp. The enemy wasn't resting. Neither could she. Nova's voice echoed gently around her. "Atmosphere stable. Enemy activity detected near Neptune. Unusual signal repeating." Mia raised her head, put it through. A strange sound filled the chamber, deep and low, like a storm underwater. Then it changed. A voice. Clear. Cold. You are awake. And late. Mia's hands trembled slightly. Who is that? Nova replied, unknown speaker. Not human. Not machine. Cross-referencing audio. Match found. Signal matches a forbidden file from Project Titanfall. Voice class. Eternal Prime. Commander Rourke stepped forward. They're talking to us. The voice continued. We gave you time. We gave you peace. And still, you reach for fire. Mia stared at the screen. They're blaming us. No, Rourke said. They're warning us. This isn't just invasion. This is judgment. Nova scanned the signal. There's more. Hidden beneath the message, coordinates, a location in deep space, a beacon left behind. Mia made a decision. We go there. I want to know who we're fighting. You want to talk to it? Rourke asked, surprised. No, Maya said. I want to understand it. Knowing your enemy is the first step to beating them. Within hours, the Ark Sentinel launched again, this time into deep space. Faster than any other human craft, it reached the edge of the solar system in minutes. There, among dead rocks and frozen silence, they found something strange. A black monolith floated quietly. Not metal, not stone. Something between. Energy pulsed from it like a slow heartbeat. Nova scanned it. Material unknown. Signal inside. Stored message. Language. Mixed. Part human, part unknown. Play it, Maya said. The monolith began to glow. A hologram appeared, showing the human, a woman in an old Titanfall uniform. Her face was tired, eyes sharp. If you're seeing this, it means you reactivated Titanfall. That means they're waking up. Mia leaned closer. The woman looked familiar. Nova confirmed it seconds later. Voice print matches. Commander Evelyn Merrick. Titanfall founder. Status. Deceased. Year. 2129. Rourke's eyes widened. She died 100 years ago. The message continued. I tried to warn them. I tried to stop it. But we made a mistake. We dug too deep. We heard voices. Voices from the void. They weren't gods. They weren't demons. They were watchers. And we woke them. The image flickered. They don't want our planet. They want our memory. Our stories. Our spark. They consume identity. Worlds become quiet, like they never lived. You must fight, but not with guns. With will. With unity, or you'll vanish like the others. Then the message ended. The monolith cracked, then shattered into dust. Maya stood silently. Rourke broke the silence. She's telling us they erase more than life. They erase history. Nova added, confirmed. Traces found on lost colonies. No data, no remains, not even ruins. Like they were never there. Mia felt a chill deep in her chest. They eat the soul of worlds. Just then, another alert popped on the screen. Energy spike. Saturn. Prime-class entity is fully active. Movement detected. Nova displayed an image, huge, dark, moving through the rings of Saturn. Its body twisted like liquid metal. No eyes. No face. Just a shape that didn't follow the rules of space. Code name, Prime Voidkin. Size, 17 kilometers. Power class, World Eater. Rourke whispered, how do we stop something like that? Mia answered quietly, we don't stop it. We survive it. Long enough to find something they fear. Nova interrupted. Emergency update. Beacon on Mars has activated. Source. Human. Message. There is still hope. Come quickly. Mia's eyes lit up. Another survivor. Rourke's expression changed. Or a trap. Mia shook her head. Even if it is, it's the only light we've got in this darkness. Nova plotted a course. The Sentinel turned. And far behind them, the Prime moved slowly toward Earth, like a shadow waiting for the light to go out. The stars were no longer silent. They were screaming. And humanity was still listening. The Ark Sentinel flew through space like a silent arrow, heading straight for Mars. The red planet had been abandoned for nearly a century. After the first eternal encounter, most colonies vanished without a trace. But now, a signal had come from there. Short, clear, and human. There is still hope. Come quickly. Mia sat in her command chair, her eyes locked on the growing red sphere ahead. The closer they got, the more uneasy she felt. Rourke stood beside her, quiet and tense. "We lost contact with Mars 90 years ago," he said. "No survivors, no signs of life. This signal, it shouldn't exist." Mia nodded. "Unless someone, or something, wants us to find it." Nova scanned the planet. Signal is real. Origin: Sector 4, New Dawn Colony. Buried 100 meters underground. Energy signature: ancient, human-made, but enhanced with unknown tech. Mia leaned forward. "Take us in, but stay alert." The Sentinel entered the thin Martian atmosphere, stirring red dust into massive clouds. It hovered above the remains of New Dawn. Cracked domes, broken towers, dry skeletons of what used to be human life. They landed near a collapsed research lab. Mia, Rourke, and a small team moved out in armor suits. The air was dry, the silence too heavy. Mars was supposed to be dead, but something was humming beneath their boots. They reached a large steel door half buried in the sand. Nova guided them. "This hatch leads to the signal source. Opening now." The ground shook as the door groaned open, revealing a long tunnel with flickering blue lights. Maya stepped inside first. The hallway was strangely clean. Not dusty. Not broken. It looked preserved. Rourke frowned. "This place should be falling apart, but it's like someone's been keeping it alive." Deeper inside, they found a control room filled with glowing consoles and a massive pod in the center. Inside the pod, a person slept, hooked to wires, breathing slowly. A man. Old. Pale. Still alive. Mia checked the screen. "Dr. Elias Vaughn," she read aloud. "Born 2087. Head of Titanfall Mars Division. Presumed dead during the collapse." Nova spoke through their suits. "Vital stable. Stasis activated 90 years ago. Auto-wake sequence triggered by Titanfall signal from the moon." Suddenly, the man's eyes opened. Maya stepped back, startled. Dr. Vaughn looked around slowly. His voice was rough, tired. "You came from Earth." Rourke nodded. "We reactivated Titanfall. The Eternals are waking. We need answers." Vaughn sat up, weak but alert. "Then it's too late for answers. You need weapons. And not just machines. Knowledge." He pointed to the console beside him. "Before Mars fell, we discovered something hidden deep under the surface. Not human. A vault." Mia listened closely. Inside that vault, Vaughn continued, was a sphere. Alive. It spoke in dreams. It warned us, showed us what the Eternals really are. Rourke narrowed his eyes. "What are they?" Vaughn looked at them both. "They are not a species, not a civilization. They are a hunger. They feed on memory, on history, on identity. They erase everything they touch, and they grow stronger doing it." Mia asked, "Then how do we fight that?" Vaughn stood slowly and walked to a control panel. He typed in a long code. A hidden door opened. Inside was a glowing orb, black, smooth, pulsing with energy. "This," Vaughn said, "is not human. It's older than the stars. And it hates the Eternals. It calls itself the Remnant." Nova scanned the object. Unknown tech. Energy signature opposite of eternal matter. Possible weapon. Possible consciousness. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the room. Calm, clear, and strange. "I remember what they try to erase. I am memory that refused to die." Mia stepped back. "It's alive." The orb continued. You woke the Titans. You now carry their burden. But you are not enough. To fight them, you must remember what was forgotten. The orb pulsed once, and Mia saw visions. She saw Earth, long ago burning. She saw humans not as prey, but as warriors, standing beside strange allies, beings of light and shadow, fighting against the Eternals in a war that spanned galaxies. Then, it was all erased. She gasped, falling to her knees. Rourke helped her up. What did you see? Mia looked at him, stunned. We fought them before. Long ago. We just forgot. They made us forget. Nova confirmed it. Ancient data restored. Memory vaults unlocked. Humanity was once part of a greater alliance. The first flame. Vaughn nodded, and the Eternals feared it. Mia stood, eyes burning with new fire. Then we rebuild the flame. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Nova's voice turned sharp. Primed Eternal approaching Earth orbit. All defense systems compromised. Time to impact. 3 hours. Mia turned to Vaughn. Can the orb help? He placed his hand on it. The remnant glowed bright. It is ready, but it needs a voice. A leader. Mia stepped forward. The orb floated into her hands and whispered, "Then remember, lead, burn bright." The Arc Sentinel roared back into space, and behind them, Mars faded into silence again. But Earth now had one last chance. The flame was returning. The real war would begin now. The sky above Earth turned black. The stars vanished behind a shadow that stretched across half the planet. It was not a ship. It was something worse. A prime eternal. A godlike being of metal and silence, shaped like a crown made of nightmares. It did not come to speak. It came to erase. The world below waited in fear. All defenses had failed. Orbital satellites were already gone. Laser arrays were offline. And the remaining Earth ships were nothing more than dust compared to the Prime's power. But there was one weapon left. One hope. The Arc Sentinel. Mia stood at the center of the command chamber, the glowing remnant orb in her hand. Her body trembled, not from fear, but from something rising deep inside her. Memory. Not just hers, but the memory of warriors long forgotten. Voices from the past whispered in her mind. "You are flameborn now," the orb told her. "Your blood remembers. You are not alone." Nova's voice rang out. Target lock. Prime Eternal. Distance, 180,000 kilometers. Planetfall expected in 14 minutes. Commander Rourke gripped the control rail. It's coming straight for the atmosphere. If it reaches the surface. Mia interrupted, her voice clear and strong. Then we stop it here, above the Earth. We hold the line. The Sentinel's engines roared to full power. The stars blurred behind them as the ship launched forward, toward the impossible. As they approached, the size of the Prime became clear. It was a city, a mountain, a nightmare wrapped in steel. Massive limbs drifted around it, parts of dead civilizations, memories it had swallowed. And at its center, a single glowing eye. It opened and looked straight at Mia. "You remember," the voice echoed across the Sentinel, not spoken but felt. "That was your mistake." The Prime fired. A beam of pure black energy ripped toward the Sentinel. "Evasive," Rourke shouted. The ship jerked sideways, shields barely holding. Alarms screamed. Lights dimmed, but they survived. "Return fire," Mia ordered. The Sentinel's plasma cannons opened up, shooting bolts of blue fire into the void. They struck the Prime's surface, scorching its armor, making it flinch. But it wasn't enough. The Prime laughed, a sound that shook the air itself. "You are sparks. I am the void." But Mia was ready. She lifted the remnant orb, which now burned like a star in her hands. "Nova," she said, "channel it through the ship." Nova hesitated. "Warning. Energy levels unstable." Unknown results. Do it. A blinding light burst from the core of the Sentinel. The remnant's memory, its ancient fire, spread into every part of the ship. Circuits changed. Weapons glowed brighter. The Sentinel was no longer just a machine. It was alive. It was awake. It was part of the flame. The Prime moved again, this time faster. Its limbs opened, revealing dozens of smaller eternal entities, hissing and shrieking through space. Nova spoke quickly. Multiple targets inbound, preparing auto-defense. But Mia had another plan. Don't run. Break through. The Sentinel accelerated straight into the swarm. It sliced through them with burning wings, firing with unnatural precision. Each hit wasn't just fire, it was memory. Eternal creatures screamed as they were hit, not just dying, but remembering what they had taken from others. The ship pushed closer. Now only the Prime remained. Its giant eye watched them, now uncertain. Rourke looked at Mia. It's afraid. Mia stepped forward, voice calm. Nova, prepare the flame core. Nova hesitated. Flame core will destroy us too. I know. She turned to Rourke. Get the crew to escape pods. I'll finish this. No, he said. We finish it together. Mia smiled. Then let's make it count. The ship charged the final blast. The Prime tried to close its armor. Tried to speak. But it was too late. The Arc Sentinel, burning with ancient memory, fired the flame core. A beam of white gold light slammed into the Prime's eye. There was no explosion, no fire, just silence, the kind that comes before something ends. The Prime froze, cracked, shattered. Then it vanished, not just from space, but from memory. All across the Earth, people blinked as if waking from a dream. The fear was gone, the weight lifted.